Hey guys, so in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and do my review video on My Little Pony Season 7, Episode 22. Hang on just a moment. Alright, and I do apologize for the delay on this review. It's been a busy week for me. But, yep, now, here I am again. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. And so this episode starts off with Twilight doing the things she usually does when she's at home as a princess. However, then she got a message from her parents inviting her on a Zeppelin cruise. And so that's where Spike decided to take over over Twilight's duties, which was nice to see of Spike, but I hope he doesn't mess it up. He doesn't mess any of them up. But anyway, so Twilight decided to go. In the next scene, which was nice to see Twilight do, and then at one point, before Twilight left, she was saying something about like having some like clipboard or some organized. She shouted some like organized plans with excitement, and Spike just thought of that as like typical of Twilight to do, but. But anyways, and so in the next scene, you see Twilight and her family getting on the air cruiser, the Zeppelin, and it looks really nice. And it was also nice to see Twilight spend some time with her family in this episode. In the Zeppelin, they went on, like I said, it looked very nice as well. And I must say, you know what? Here's something I need to point out. I think it's great that the MLP. I think it's great that this season is really focusing on the family life a lot. But so yeah, just want to throw that out there. But anyway, so when they did get on board, I heard Iron Will's voice through the speakers, welcoming them on, which I thought was so crazy since. We haven't seen Iron Will since like season 2. Well, season 2. But the ship ended up taking off, and it looked cool the way it took off, and it also looked cool on the inside too. However, the parents didn't know where the prize came from, and which was the special treat of them getting to go on that trip, and they definitely didn't get much info about the trip either. They just went up and signed. They just cared about wanting to sign up and go on the trip. And it would have been smart if the parents got some more information on the trip. And so then Twilight showed the fam a categorized plan of the ship's activities, which was smart and impressive for Twilight to do, and it was great and impressive for her to do that in front of her parents as well. And she also addressed something about a shooting star event as well called the North Star. And so then at one point they heard Iron Will's voice go off on the speakers again. And sometimes I do tend to take a little pause a little bit every now and then. I'll try not to do that much though. But anyway, however, Shining Armor did get motion sickness from the trip. Or he had motion sickness throughout this trip, which kind of made me think of Natsu from Fairy Tail. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, so then at one point they flew past Cloudsdale, and the view of it from the Zeppelin looked absolutely amazing. However, then at one point they flew past Camelot, and Iron Will told some lie about Twilight and Shining Armor being born there. Actually, you know what? I'll announce it after this review video. But then they flew over the Crystal Empire, and the view from where they looked at it was absolutely amazing. However, Iron Will told another fib about Cadence as well, which was also kind of bad. Kind of had to do with Spike as well, but I think about like his actions there. But then Twilight saw other ponies with wigs of her main style, which actually did look pretty cool on them though. And so then Twilight finally met up in the next scene. She finally met up with Iron Will in the room where he was navigating the ship, and that's where Twilight found out that the trip really had to do with Twilight and just had to do with fans wanting to just spend more time with her, but it was interesting to see what Iron Will was doing compared to what he was doing in season 2. But I mean, I think it's nice that Iron Will decided to give Twilight a little more support by allowing her to spend some time with all the people or ponies that look up to her, but he should have been more honest and straight up about the information of the trip and the reason why he held that Zeppelin trip. But anyway, that's where Twilight and her family met up with Iron Will as well to address the situation. And it was interesting to see how Twilight was smart, had some more smarter moves than her parents in this situation and in this episode as well. But anyway, Twilight couldn't disappoint the other ponies on board either. And even though this was kind of like a total curveball and a completely unexpected situation for Twilight and her family. However, the trip was also about Princess Cadance as well, but Princess Cadance wasn't as concerned about the other ponies as Twilight was, since her hooves were full, and because she had to still take care of Flurry Heart and Shining Armor. With his motion sickness, it was probably harder for him. And so that's where Twilight made a deal with Iron Will, where if she did whatever he wanted her to do, that he would also let Twilight's families do the things they wanted to do, which I thought was a pretty risky move for Twilight to make, that deal with Iron Will. And so in the next scene, Twilight and Iron Will met back outside with the other ponies on the ship. And that's where Twilight met a pony named Star Trekker, which I think is a pretty cool name for a pony. Apparently, he won a prize to hang out with Twilight, and so in the next scene, Twilight went over to some bingo game on the Zeppelin along with her father and Star Trekker as well, and it did look fairly interesting. And so then Twilight decided to go to do a tiny boat race, which took place in a very small pool, but it went around. It was still big enough to go around like this, and it did look pretty cool, like I said, or just said that now. But anyway, sorry, tend to yawn every now and then, but Shining Armor just wasn't cut out for it, and Twilight really couldn't participate in it either with her other duties she had to do on the Zeppelin. And then Iron Will appeared again, and he had this 10-pack on his chest pop out, like it had this. It did a camera shot on his this 10-pack that he had on his chest. It was so funny the way it popped out, like boop, boop. But anyway, he had another activity in store for Twilight. But meanwhile, Cadance decided to bring Flurry Heart over to an area where she could play with other little baby ponies as well. And it was great to see other ponies in this episode, because they're so freaking cute in this show. But anyway, so then Twilight wanted to see how Princess Cadance was holding up as well. and to catch up with her too. However, at this point, Princess Cadance got concerned about Twilight and what was going on with her, which was nice of Princess Cadance to be concerned about her. And yet Star Trekker was still following Twilight around, which was not a smart idea, since, and also just because, like, she really had no intention of wanting to hang out with him. She was just wanted to spend more time with her family. But anyway, and so in the next scene, I wonder why I had that little light thing on. But anyway, so in the next scene, Twilight met back up with her mom that got done with some water barrel event that Twilight had missed, and yet again, Trekker was still following her around. And like I said, did not look socially appropriate to me, because because like I said, she really had no intention of wanting to hang out with Trekker. And so then Iron Will had something else in store for Twilight. All she had to do was sign autographs, which seemed like a fairly simple task. But unfortunately, all of that made Twilight miss watching the Northern Star with her family, and I felt so bad for Twilight. And then at one point, Twilight accidentally stepped on Star Trekker's hoof, and that's also where Twilight snapped at Star Trekker, which kind of sucked, but like I said, that point Twilight really had no intention of wanting to be around Star Trekker. It's kind of like she ignored him. Like, she acted like he wasn't even there. Like, she acted like he wasn't even following her around. But anyway, she wanted, and she wanted to hang out with her family more, because it would make sense, because that's the whole reason why she went on that Zeppelin, because it was originally meant for her to spend time with her family. But overall, and also Twilight needed more space, but anyway, overall, Twilight she just wanted every pony to be happy. Yeah, I know I do tend to move around a lot. And as a role of being a princess of friendship, that would make sense for her. However, later on, Twilight did make an apology to Star Trekker for snapping at him, which was nice to see of her do, and she also let her family know that she should have spoken up to them, which was a very smart move on Twilight's part to address that. And so then Twilight said she wanted to do something off the schedule, which I think was a great thing to see her suggest, because that shows that she's willing to get out of her comfort zone when it comes to scheduling something. But anyway, so in the next scene, Twilight and her family and Star Trekker decide to get some ice cream. And at one point, Twilight even hugged Star Trekker, which was really nice to see Twilight do. However, at one point, Iron Will appeared, and that's where Twilight gave more information about the trip to all the other ponies on the Zeppelin, and her perspective for the trip as well, like Twilight's intentions of being on the trip. But however, the ponies on the trip weren't very happy when they got the information about the trip, which was information that they should have gotten before they went on the Zeppelin. And unfortunately, Iron Will wouldn't give them a refund, and that just kind of showed how much of a jerk Iron Will was. And so in the next scene, Twilight's family actually had something else scheduled for her. So Shining Armor, Flurry, and her mom wore a Starlight costume to put on a show that had to do with the Northern Star, which was so nice to see Twilight do. However, the only thing that Twilight really wanted was to spend more time with her family, and I really thought that was a great overall lesson for Twilight, and I really liked how, and I loved how Twilight showed her love and support for her family, and also I loved the view it showed where they were on their way back to Canterlot, which I thought that was a great way to wrap up that episode. And so yeah, so overall, this is my I thought this was a pretty good episode, a pretty good one. And this is my review video on My Little Pony season 7 episode 22. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. All right, thanks guys. All right, bye.